The following is a presentation of Got Questions Ministries.
What should we learn from the life of Solomon? Solomon is the third and last king of the United Kingdom of Israel, following King Saul and King David. He was the son of David and Bathsheba, the former wife of Uriah the Hittite, whom David had killed to hide his adultery with Bathsheba while her husband was on the battlefront. Solomon wrote much of the book of Proverbs, the Song of Solomon, and the book of Ecclesiastes. His authorship of Ecclesiastes is contested by some, but Solomon is the only son of David to be king over Israel, not just Judah, in Jerusalem. Ecclesiastes chapter 1 verses 1 and 12, and many of the descriptions of the author fit Solomon perfectly. Solomon reigned for 40 years. 1 Kings 11 verse 42. What are the highlights of Solomon's life? When he ascended the throne, he sought after God, and God gave him opportunity to ask whatever he wanted. Solomon humbly acknowledged his inability to rule well and unselfishly asked God for the wisdom he would need to rule God's people justly. God gave him wisdom and wealth besides. 1 Kings chapter 3 verse 4, chapter 10 verse 27. In fact, his riches and wisdom surpassed all of the kings of the earth. 1 Kings 10 verse 23. God also gave him peace on all sides during most of his reign. Chapter 4 verses 20 through 25. The favorite illustration of that wisdom is his judging a dispute over the identity of the true mother of an infant child in 1 Kings 3 verses 16 through 28. Solomon was not only wise in his rule, but had great general wisdom as well. His wisdom was renowned in his day, and the Queen of Sheba traveled 1,200 miles to verify the rumors of his wisdom and grandeur in chapter 10. Solomon wrote many proverbs and songs. Chapter 4 verse 32, and completed many building projects, chapter 7 verses 1 through 12. Solomon also built a fleet of ships and acquired tons of gold from Ophir with Hiram king of Tyre as a partner, chapter 9 verses 26 through 28. Solomon had 700 wives and 300 concubines, many of them foreigners, who led him into public idolatry in his old age, greatly angering God, chapter 11 verses 1 through 13. There are many lessons we can learn from the life of Solomon. First, when we seek God with all of our heart, he will be found. Chapter 3, verses 3 through 7. Second, those who honor God will be honored by him. Chapter 3, verses 11 through 13. Third, God will equip us to accomplish the tasks he calls us to, if we will rely on him. Chapter 3. Fourth, the spiritual life is a marathon, not a sprint. A good start is not always enough to finish well. Fifth, we can sincerely ask God to incline our hearts toward him, chapter 8, verses 57 and 58. But we will wander off the path of righteousness if we choose to violate his revealed word. Contrary to God's written word concerning kings, Solomon multiplied to himself gold, horses, and wives. Deuteronomy 17, verses 14 through 17. He also married non-Jewish wives. Deuteronomy 7, verses 3 and 4. Sixth, those closest to us will affect our spiritual lives. Exodus 13 verse 16. And we must therefore be careful of the company we keep. Seventh, life lived apart from God will seem meaningless, regardless of education, fulfilled goals, the greatest of pleasures, and the greatest abundance of wealth. Ecclesiastes 1 verse 2.
God Questions Ministries seeks to glorify the Lord Jesus Christ by providing biblical answers to today's questions. Online at GotQuestions.org.